to join. All candidates have been sent an email to join this forum. If you were selected by that date, you have submitted your information by that date. This is why you are a part of this forum today. There will be no use of any sponsor partner's logo or designation is allowed during this forum. Your speaking order has been chosen. If you are going over the time frame, you have been giving a 1 minute opening and a 1 minute closing. You have a 1 minute to answer the question unless the moderator, with notice to the candidates prior to asking for a specific question, will allow more or less time to answer a specific question. Because this is a forum and not a debate, rebuttals by candidates are not permitted. If you do see within your chat group candidates, you will see 30 seconds. If you have going over your 30 seconds of the minute that you do have, you will be muted by the timekeeper. The moderator is responsible for enforcing all time limits, and the moderator will have the opportunity to interrupt the proceedings to enforce the ground rules and the format agreed to by the candidates, and as well as the moderator may also restate the question. We are asking that the candidates do not interrupt one another during this forum. Candidates, please limit your responses to the questions asked and refrain from personal comparisons to other candidates. Personal attacks by one candidate or another candidate or elected official will not be tolerated by the League of Women Voters of West Piedmont or by Marietta-Cobb. Candidates will have no opportunity for rebuttal following the closing statements. Moderators, I'm turning this over to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Cord Franklin, pastor of Paulding County, and it's my honor to serve as one of the moderators of this important conversation with the candidates running for the 14th Congressional District. And this afternoon is about truth, about clarity, and about the future we're shaping for the 14th District. I asked our candidates to bring their best answers, to be courageous in their vision, and to be committed to serve. I asked our viewers to lean in because democracy works best when people are informed. I'm gonna ask my co-moderator to introduce himself, and then we'll begin with the questioning.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Randolph. I am the current president of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Rho Pi Lambda chapter. We service the Douglas, Carroll, and Paulding County community. I am also the community coordinator for the West Metro branch of the NAACP. Thank you, Pastor Cord. We can get started with your questions, sir.
All right. The first question for the first group, and as was stated earlier, you ought to see the that you'll be going in. The first question, Rob Rushkowski, you have this first opportunity to answer, followed by Star Black, Sean Harris, and Andrew Underwood. The question is, an estimated 750,000 Georgians could lose health care coverage under the current proposal. While one big beautiful bill includes subsidies for housing, but no expansion for Medicare. Do you support strengthening that bill? And how do you justify prioritizing housing subsidies without expanding health care coverage for thousands of Georgians who would be left uninsured?
Pastor Franklin, I'm sorry, before we get started, the order is Rob Ruskowski, Larry Tilley, Star Black, Sean Harris, and Andrew Underwood.
Yeah, I don't think Larry's here. I haven't seen him sign in, so.
Then I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought we were starting with opening statements.
Okay.
Yes, moderators, please go back and allow each candidate to present an open.
All right, I was so excited, and you are so right. We want to give each candidate an opportunity to give an opening statement to the hundreds of people who are viewing right now, so that those who do not know them can get to know them just a little bit better. And so we'll start with Brother Rob, followed by Star Black, Sean Harris, Andrew Underwood, Bo Brown, Jenna Turnessee, Clay Fuller, and Jim Davis, in that order if you're here. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Ready to start? Okay. Well, thank you, Pastor. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and everyone who helped to organize this forum, the candidates, and the viewers for participating in our democracy. I have deep respect for everyone involved here. This is what matters the most. My name is Rob Rush-Ruskowski, and I'm running as an independent for Congress here in Georgia's 14th Congressional District. This campaign is about one simple truth. It's not left versus right. It's whether government answers to voters or to powerful interests. Right now, too many people are working harder, paying more, and falling behind. Not because they fail, but because the system is rigged. I'm running to lower the cost of living, raise wages, protect healthcare as a human right, and restore accountability in government that's lost the public's trust. I don't take corporate money. I don't answer to party bosses. I answer to the people, you who are watching. If you're tired of politics that divides us instead of delivering results, this campaign is for you. I'm Rob Rush, and I will restore your voice in Washington. Please visit my website at rushcongress.com to learn more and to get involved and to help out. Thank you.
Ms. Star Black.
I'm Star Black, and I am running on the Republican ticket. I am the only candidate in this race that has worked with, that has federal experience. I retired from FEMA after 28 years, and I have worked with almost every federal agency and knowing their process. I am looking to build up our trade schools and help get government regulations out of the small businesses. So I am running again. I've been running this race since June, and when this seat was not vacant. So I have been in this race for quite some time, and I am looking to listening to the voice, and I have been out doing a grassroots. So thank you. I'm Star Black.
Thank you so very much. Sean Harris.
Hi, my name is Brigadier General Sean Harris, retired. I'm a husband for 37 years to my lovely wife, Carla, a father, a grandfather, a cattle farmer, and now a proud veteran. I'm running for Congress because I want to make sure that somebody is fighting for the everyday hardworking people here in the 14th. Today, I want to make sure that you have access to good health care, generational jobs that will pay you a livable wage. I want to continue to fight to make sure that you have a life that's affordable. As a veteran, I will fight for you and your spouse to get the benefits that you have already earned from the VA. As a farmer, I will fight to bring down the input costs and also to get the farm bill passed. I will focus on kitchen table issues that will affect hard-working people here in Northwest Georgia. My name is Sean Harris. I'm a Democrat, and I look forward to our discussion today. And remember, leadership matters.
Okay, thank you so much. Andrew Underwood.
Hello, my name's Andrew Underwood. I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters for giving us all this opportunity to talk to the voters. I really appreciate it. I'm also pleased to meet the other candidates. Something about myself, I am 37 years old, been married for 13 years, and have 3 children, ages 11, 9, and 2, 2 of whom are special needs. I majored in physics in college, but my true passions are mathematics and economics. I had to step away from work a couple of months ago due to health concerns, but the majority of my work experience up until then was manufacturing and quality control. My wife is a teacher. While my oldest child goes to public school, my daughter's homeschooled. I have a good idea of a lot of the different ways that people take care of their kids here. And I want to do my best to help with the education system, with
Thank you.
making sure.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I don't see Brown, so we'll go to Miss Jenna Turnipseed.
Hello, and thank you for having me. My name is Jenna Turnipseed, and I am a 22-year retired military officer who specialized in logistics, and by the nature of my position, has spent the last 10 years dealing with budget acquisitions and military modernization. I am also a farmer. I live in Northwest Georgia and own a small aquaponics farm that uses urban growing systems to produce fresh produce year-round. I'm also a teacher and a mother. I am running because I have been part of the system with the government that processes all of the waste and overhead that adds to our budget, and I believe it needs to be fixed. I'm also running because I want to see our future have a next generation. In the last 20 years, we have increased our healthcare spending from just 2/3 of our national budget to over 150% of our national budget. And if we don't change the way that we do things, the limited opportunities that we have for our kids is just going to get smaller.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Clay Fuller.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clay Fuller. I'm running to be a warrior for Northwest Georgia and to have President Trump's back on behalf of the citizens of Northwest Georgia. And basically, I'm being that warrior for Northwest Georgia because I'm a 9th generation North Georgian, and I want to fight for the people each and every day on Capitol Hill because that's what's defined my life and my service. So there are 3 words that are defining my campaign. It's faith, duty, and America first. My faith, I'm a Christian conservative. I'm a cancer survivor, and God gave me more time to be here. And then, so I'm fighting to fulfill that obligation to God for the people of Northwest Georgia and to fight for you. For duty, I'm a military veteran, a lieutenant colonel in the Air National Guard. I've raised my hand to protect this country and its national security. And I'm an elected district attorney, so I've sworn an oath to protect this community from the most violent criminals in our community. And finally, America first, I will be fighting each and every day for the citizens of Northwest Georgia to make this the greatest community where you can raise a family. I'm Clay Fuller, and I'm asking for your vote.
Okay, thank you so very much, all of the candidates. So hopefully by now, the nerves are worn off, and it's time to really give the people what they came to listen for, some good, straight answers. And again, we're going to start with Mr. Rush. You've already heard the first two, but I will read it again in case you may have forgotten it. It's dealing with healthcare coverage. It says an estimate 750,000 Georgians could lose healthcare coverage under the current proposals, while the One Big Beautiful Bill includes subsidies for housing, but no expansion for Medicare. Do you support the strengthening of this bill? And how do you justify prioritizing housing subsidies without expanding healthcare coverage for thousands of Georgians who could be left uninsured? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Well, that's a lot to unload in 2 minutes. You see, we're talking about the Big Beautiful Bill, and I'm somewhat familiar with it. It is a very large bill, and there's a lot going on with it. You got it sounds like there's 3 different issues being talked in this one question. I'm going to have to step back from it because I don't want to give misinformation in it. I just want to say how I stand on these 3 issues. Well, one, the healthcare crisis is something that it's twofold. We don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. When somebody gets sick, they go to the doctor that prescribes some drugs that hides their symptoms, but doesn't really get to the root problem. I'm proposing a wellness care system, something that makes people healthy and keeps them healthy so that they don't become sick in the first place. And that's a lot less expensive to do than the healthcare system that we have currently. It's a lot more effective, and it definitely could be brought to everyone in the country, as opposed to bickering and saying who gets this and who gets that. So it would be a universal healthcare system. But as I say, I like to call it wellness care. In regards to housing, my particular policy on housing is there shouldn't be any homeless people at all in this country, especially veterans and people that have served. We have the money. It's just whether it's the priority. The people up in Washington and the parties they don't care about people. That's my honest opinion. They're more interested in paying off their special, getting bills passed that are going to help their special interests, and helping out even foreign governments sometimes, and big corporations that are actually booming with profits right now, while hard Americans in my district are really, really struggling. In regards to, I guess, the last part of it, if I would correctly, if you could repeat the question again.
It was talk about how can you justify prioritizing health subsidies without expanding healthcare coverage for thousands of Georgians to lose
Please move to the
and be
next
uninsured.
candidate. Please move to the next candidate.
Okay, thank you.
Candidate Star Black, the same question.
Okay, I do not believe that the federal government should actually be in the healthcare business. We need to get the subsidies out because the insurance companies are the ones that are making the money. They have no incentive of reducing their cost because the federal government will pay for it. That is a way that we can put that money back into other programs, and we can allow competition because let's face it, insurance, the federal government is not on your car insurance, and competition takes care of that. So that drives down those prices. So if the federal government, which we broke, if we got out of the subsidizing, which goes just to the insurance companies, then just by its natural process, the competition will take care of itself and it'll actually drive down the prices to put the price where it should be. And that's what we need to be focusing on. The government should never be in personal businesses. And so I truly believe there's no reason to increase it. The federal government needs to get out of it.
Okay. Candidate Sean Harris, the same question. You're on mute, sir. You're on mute.
Please unmute.
You're on mute. Yes, Harris.
Okay. I thought they would unmute me. They put me on mute, so I thought they would unmute me. I got the rules now.
You have 2 minutes.
Again, let me start over again. First of all, thank you for inviting me. Thank you to everyone. Let me jump into these 3 different topics. One, the big beautiful bill is clearly not going to work for rural America. I think every last one of us know that rural America, our hospitals are going to be closing soon. And that is a fact. So that one of the things that I will be doing when I get to DC is working with people across the aisle to make sure that we can make improvements on the big beautiful bill, because the big beautiful bill has passed now. With that being said, if you get into the weeds on the big beautiful bill, you'll find out that they claim they have money to hire doctors and nurses. The reality of it is, it talks about that, is no funding to bring them on. And all of us that live in rural America understand we have the hospitals, but we don't have the doctors and nurses, the specialists to actually do the job. The next part of your question was talking about the ACA. The ACA is out of the roof right now. Our farmers, our veterans, our teachers, don't matter who you are, right now trying to make a decision between the ACA, paying your insurance, or feeding your family. When I get to DC, I'm going to work hard to bring that ACA back down, make sure we got the subsidies in it to make sure the cost comes back down. President Trump is now talking about making some changes to it. And then the last part, Paulding County is a prime example. Corporate America is buying up all the houses, and because they're buying up all the houses, the American people cannot have the dream of owning a home, owning your own home. Right now, the average age to buy a house, first-time buyer, is 40 years old. That is not right. We need to fix that. I will fix that, and I will also make sure I get corporate America out of housing like Blackstone there in Paulding County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Candidate Andrew Underwood.
I want to point out, first of all, I am uninsured. I have a pretty good idea of how this is affecting people. I'd also like to point out I'm a libertarian. I believe that the government tends to mess up everything that it gets involved in. So in that regard, I'm going to have to say that my views on healthcare are going to align a great deal with candidate Star Black. But I do also wish to point out that we have created this problem ever since World War II, when we created the need for employers to provide insurance by capping wages. We have created a situation where the people who need healthcare most, the ones who are too sick to work, end up having the biggest problem. And then every time we try to patch that, we put a new layer of problems on it. We need to get the United States government, at least the federal government, out of this. We need to allow the market to correct itself. But furthermore, that goes not just for healthcare, that goes for housing as well. The more we intervene in it, the more complex and the more problems show up.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. We'll turn the next set of questions over to Brother Rick Randolph.
I have the pleasure of asking you the second question. It deals with agriculture. And this will start off with Gina Turnipseed. Farmers in this district face rising costs and volatile markets. What federal policies would you advance to support agriculture, protect land, and strengthen rural economies?
So one of the first things that I would like to be able to do to help protect farmers and be able to protect land is not to add a policy to our federal regulation, but it's to remove some of it. We have a very large amount of farmers here in Georgia's 14th district. A lot of those farmers are small farms. Because of the regulations and the limitations we have, we can't sell our food. I have a farm here that deals specifically with selling lettuce and produce year round. To be able to open a store on my farm that would allow me to give a place for my neighbors to be able to sell their beef, I had to pay an $8,000 tax fine to be able to remove a conservation easement I had on my land. That conservation easement exists so that I can keep it as agricultural property. The use hasn't changed. We need to look at the regulations that we are adding that are inhibiting our small farmers and agricultural producers from being able to sell their products, not add to them.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. Same question, Clay Fuller.
No, thank you for the question. And the first thing that we have to do is trust in the Trump economy. What's happening with the big beauty is that you're seeing record GDP growth. We've got to continue to allow those policies to work. And the biggest thing that we're seeing when it comes to agriculture is kind of what Jenna just said. We got to make sure that we're getting regulations out of the way, because we've got to let small farmers be exactly what this country was originally designed to be. So Jefferson envisioned this country as a Jeffersonian republic with small agrarian farmers taking specifically care of themselves and their farms. And the more that the federal government gets involved in, from a policymaking standpoint, and negatively impacting our farmers, it's going to drive up costs. It's going to make things more expensive. And I think you see this specifically with the beef cartels that are out there. We just need to let the free market work, get the federal government out of the way, get small and local governments out of the way too, and let the agriculture industry take care of itself and drive down prices. The other thing is we have to be clear-eyed from a national security standpoint that the Communist Party of China is going to try to impact our agricultural policies. They're going to try to buy up farmland. We have to be very cognizant of that from a national security standpoint, that is an asymmetrical move that the Communist Party of China is doing. So get the federal government out of the way, let the farmers make the decisions. Specifically, I was thinking about just milk. If someone doesn't want to buy pasteurized milk, why are we stopping people from being able to do something just like that? Just let people make the free choices that they need to make in their economic decisions, and get federal policy out of the way for our farmers, and our country would be healthier, and all of our products would be more affordable if we did that.
Okay. I will pose the same question to Rob Ruskowski and Star Black. Rob Ruskowski, you'll be first. Do you need me to repeat the question? Rob, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Farmers in this district face rising costs and volatile markets. What federal policies would you advance to support agriculture, protect land, and strengthen rural economies?
Well, the thing that's dearest to me right now with the farmers in our district is protecting the land. It's the largest environmental concern I have for the 14th, and it isn't just left to the 14th. It's a problem that's across the country, and it's even affecting other areas of the globe. But that's forever chemicals, the PFAS that are out in the environment. The contamination of our water system, our streams, and unfortunately, a lot of these farms that might have been in counties that had treatment plants that were offering free human waste fertilizer, or that were highly contaminated with PFAS. They've been spread across farmland all over the district, especially when you're looking at Dalton all the way down through Rome into Alabama. So very, very large swath, and the water is highly contaminated as well. So number one, we have to get these polluters, the companies that were responsible, to pay for this cleanup, and it's astronomical amount. And these farmers are going to find out, if their land is contaminated, that they need to get involved with this, because their land's going to be worthless, is what's going to end up happening here. They're not going to be able to sell their cattle because if the cattle is eating the grass, it's being contaminated by the PFAS as well. So that's my number one thing, and I think that doesn't just affect farmers; that affects everyone in the district. It's a number one health priority to me. In regards to what other people said here, we have to break barriers for small farmers. They need less regulations. They should have more freedom to get their products to market without the government getting in the way of that. Unfortunately, though, there's a lot of corruption in these industries, and there's a lot of consolidation, and there's a lot of large companies that are squashing small farmers.
Thank you, candidate.
Thank you. Star Black, same question.
Okay. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Yeah, we need to actually look at the Prime Act and because right now the regulation is that a small farmer, once they sell their beef or any type of livestock, if they sell over $100,000, they have to create turn over all these records to the USDA, which is a huge burden on them to be able to sell their goods. So what we need to do is either remove that or raise that up, because it's an overburden for these small farmers. Yes, it's easy for the large companies to come up with all that paperwork, but for the small farmers, it does not allow them to compete, and we cannot get the food to the table fast enough because they have to ship or transport their livestock to all these processing plants to where they could do it locally, and we can get food to the table much, much, much faster. And also, I am with Clay that we've got it, just like Governor Huckabee in Arkansas has banned China from buying up our farmland, because they can genetically modify a lot of our food sources, and they are a threat, and we need to keep them out of our agriculture. So thank you.
Star Black. I now turn it back over to you, Pastor Court.
All right, thank you. We're going to shift from agriculture to political pressure and moral leadership. And candidate Harris, the first question is going to come to you.
Okay.
When party leaders, donors, or national political pressure tries to push you to support a policy that you believe is morally wrong and harmful to Georgia's 14th Congressional District, how will you respond? And can you give an example of when you have chosen your constituents over political pressure? 2 minutes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that question. I'll tell you right up front. Sean Harris is not bought by anybody, period. That's why when I'm out there on the campaign trail, I'm always talking about leadership matters. Another piece that I've said very publicly that AIPAC will never be able to give my campaign or any time when I'm in Congress any money at all. In addition to this, I think as leaders, when we go to Washington, D.C., our focus or my focus will be 100% on the people right here in Northwest Georgia. That's who I will be working for. That simply means every day that I get up in DC, my focus needs to be on everybody in this district as a whole. When Marjorie Taylor Greene was in Congress, she didn't represent everybody across the board. I want to go to DC, represent everybody, but I want to make sure that nobody will ever buy Sean Harris and nobody will ever make me vote against the people here in Northwest Georgia. I think I'm the only one that could possibly say this. I am a Democrat, but I'm not married to a party. I'm going to always focus on what's best for the people here in Northwest Georgia, period.
Okay, you got about 40 seconds. Can you give an example of when you chose your constituents over pressure?
It would never be a chance when that's going to be. My focus will always be on the people here. After 40 years of being in the military, I know what right looks like. I know what leadership looks like. And I also know who I work for. I work for the people here in Northwest Georgia, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. And no one will ever buy Sean Harris, period.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Andrew Underwood, same question to you, sir.
I want to point out I am a third party candidate. I don't have the same kind of pressures that can be put on me from my party. But even if I did, I'm running on principle here. I am not running out of a desire to hold this office, but out of a sense of responsibility to the people of this district who, when I moved here, they made me feel at home. They welcomed me. It's like my kids were born here. It's like I go to church here. I love this place and I wouldn't live anywhere else. All I want is to represent the people of this district to the best of my ability. I don't care when it comes to lobbyists or political pressure put on me. If anything, being a third party candidate gives me the privilege of being able to be the swing vote when partisan politics comes in. That lets me always have the option to choose the right thing.
Okay, thank you so much. You still have about 30 seconds. Can you think of an example real quick? You chose constituents or would choose constituents over political pressure?
Yeah. Well, seeing as I haven't held public office, it's difficult to come up with an exact example, but I can give you something analogous. My father and I do not agree on a lot of things, but he's sort of a larger than life
Thank you,
fellow.
candidate.
Oh, I'm sorry, time.
That's okay. Thank you so much. Ms. Candidate Turnipseed, same question for you. Do I need to repeat it for you or do you remember it?
No, I think I'm good. So I will start by saying that I am not worried about the pressures being put on me from leadership about executing something that I think is immoral. I think that is one of the big advantages that I have of being a soldier and being a leader before that I have been in that position. I have never had constituents. I have only ever had soldiers and I have only ever had students, but I have never failed to go to bat for them. In my office at school, there is a very large Spartan shield, and with it is a note about the fact that I would always go to bat, do what was right, no matter what it meant for me or what the consequences I bared to make sure that they were taken care of. I think that a representative needs to be able to have that same position. And the way that I plan to address that, if elected, is to be able to have multiple town halls and be able to be with my constituents as much as possible. I don't think we need somebody that's going to go to Washington and just govern by what they think is moral or what they think might be right. I think that we need to regularly engage with our districts and our voters, and we need to be able to get their feedback and their opinion because they're going to bring solutions to light that we may have not considered. And while they're pushing us to do something, we may be able to hear from somebody that's going to offer us a solution that we can use to fight back with.
Okay, thank you so much. Candidate Clay Ford, the same question to you, sir.
No, thank you. I'm going to be a warrior for the citizens of Northwest Georgia, and that's the only person I'm going to be a warrior for. I don't care if you voted for me, agree with me. If you are a citizen of Northwest Georgia when I'm on Capitol Hill, I'm going to be fighting for you each and every day. You call our office and you have a VA issue. You say, hey, Representative Fuller, I didn't vote for you, but here is a problem that I'm having with the VA. I'm going to treat you like the most important constituent that I have. That is what I'm talking about when I say I'm going to be a warrior for Northwest Georgia. For every citizen, we are going to fight for what they need and bring that back from Washington, D.C. There's no, to address the second part of the question, I've been an elected district attorney for a couple of years now. I'm an elected district attorney in a 4-county circuit. There is a lot of pressure constantly on the top prosecutor in any county. And I'd offer you one of the most challenging circumstances that I had was the last murder case that I prosecuted before jumping into this race. I had that case for years, and the family was waiting for 10 plus years for justice. And I was facing a lot of powerful political pressure to not prosecute that case. I can remember powerful political figures in my community screaming at me that I could not get a conviction in that case. I moved forward on that murder case. I brought it before a jury and I got a conviction. Do you know how many minutes it took for that jury to convict? Less than 45 minutes. I can withstand any pressure because I'm a public servant and a warrior for the people of Northwest Georgia. That's who I am. That's who I am. And that's who I will always be. I will never compromise.
Okay, thank you so much. Candidate Russ, same question for you. Do I need to repeat it or do you remember the question?
You're addressing me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, repeat the question, please.
Okay. When party leaders or donors or national political pressure try to push you to support a policy that you believe is morally wrong or harmful to Georgia's 14th Congressional District, how will you respond? And can you give an example of when you have chosen your constituents over political pressure? You have 2 minutes.
Right. Well, I'm the only independent in this whole race, so I have no party backing whatsoever. So this issue about being persuaded or switched, I am completely impartial. I'm going to listen to what is being said, and I'm going to talk with my constituents back in the 14th district to see how they feel about this, because I'm not a leader, I'm a representative. So I have to listen to the people here. Now, of course, I do have to take an oath to the Constitution, and the Constitution is my moral grounding. So if anything is being proposed against the Constitution, that's where I might have to break from some of the constituents in my district, because I swear an oath to that, and that is the highest law to me. The reason I'm running as independent, because people deserve representation without party strings attached. I don't belong to a party I belong to the voters. Independence means answering to the people, not donors or party leadership. Now, we've heard people in the past that are Democrats and Republicans chant about how they won't go with the party. I'll just leave this to the constituents out there. Have a lot of those people honored their oath to the voters, or have they broken that oath at times, saying that they were going to not go with party routes? That's my answer. I don't have to talk any more about that other than myself. I was raised Roman Catholic. I was brought up with real morals. I want to look at, one of the biggest issues in my district is probably abortion. That's a wedge issue. I want to see 0 abortions. I really do. I want to see where we live in a society. Okay.
All right. I turn over to moderator Randolph. Make sure you unmute moderator Randolph.
Thank you. My question changes a little bit. We're going to change the focus just a little bit. Immigration enforcement and farm workforce. Stricter enforcement of immigration laws is causing labor shortages for rural farmers and is also affecting legal immigrants who are being caught up in these policies. How would you address these enforcement practices and support the 3,396 farms in the Georgia's 14th Congressional District that are struggling to maintain a reliable workforce? That question will start with Star Black.
Okay. Well, I truly believe that if you are in this country illegal, you are breaking the law, and that is illegal, and you need to be taken away back to your country. That will open up the job force to where we can get folks in to work those jobs. We've got people that want to work but cannot find a job. So we do not need, I welcome anyone into this country as long as they come in legally and they come in the correct way, because we offer too many benefits and we pay too many taxes, and those should only be given to U.S. citizens. So we have the folks, and if we remove the illegal immigrants or the illegal aliens from our country, then that opens up the jobs for the workforce that is here.
Thank you for that. Same question, Sean Harris.
Thank you for that question. As a farmer, I can tell you point blank that we as farmers throughout the 14th district is struggling to get good help across the board, especially our farmers that deal with cattle and our farmers that deal with poultry. Those are on the poultry side of the house is labor intensive. And I would push back a little bit on my fellow candidate. It is hard to get people to come to work on the farm. If they come today, they won't come tomorrow. So when it comes to immigration, I agree with you. People that came to the United States need to come the right way. But on the flip side of the coin, when we actually deporting these people, like what you see that's happened up in Minnesota, we need to make sure we're doing it with respect and following the rule of law. So when it comes to our farmers, I want to make sure that our farmers have all the help that they could possibly need, because guess what? Right now, under Trump's policies, when it comes to tariffs, our soybean farmers don't have a place to sell their crops right now. And even though they have put in for subsidies, there's not guarantee that money's going to get here in time, and they potentially may end up going bankrupt. And then in the world that I play in, cattle. Right now, cattle prices are pretty good for the farmer, but the president stepped in and tried to put his hands on the scale. If we're talking free trade, let's stick with free trade, because at the end of the day, we don't need to be bringing beef in from some third country somewhere. That is a slap into the face of all our farmers, and specifically here in Northwest Georgia. I want our farmers to know that I'm the candidate because I'm a farmer, and I know some other farmers on this group, but because I'm a farmer, I'm going to stand up and make sure that farm bill gets passed, because right now things are being paid for it back on 2008 prices. Cost is too high, and I need to make sure that I work for them to get it done.
Thank you. This same question I will pose to Andrew Underwood.
Thank you very much for the question. When it comes to immigration, our country is built on it. There's the famous poem, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuge of your teeming shore. Send these, your homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." We've all heard it. But that's the thing. When we hear people talking about how they're not sending their best, that was never the point. Who cares? We take the wretched refuge and we get and we give them a chance to shine. Now, yes, there are people coming in here illegally. However, our legal immigration system is so broken that most of them don't have a way they could come in legally. My great-grandmother came in on Ellis Island in 1929. If she had to go through the same hoops that we make people jump through today, she would have never been able to make it here. And as for enforcement, we really need to be looking at constitutionally the way that we do this. People are not being given due process. And I've heard the argument that due process is only for citizens. That's simply not true. The Supreme Court has ruled over and over again that anyone on American soil has those protections. So we need to give them the presumption of innocence, the chance to prove that they are here legally, and we don't need to be having masked, unidentified law enforcement officials coming in and taking people off the streets. We need to do this in an orderly and legal way if we're going to do this.
Thank you for your response. Same question, Jenna Turnipseed.
So I'd like to start by acknowledging that, yes, we have an illegal immigration problem. We also have a legal immigration problem. The policies and the procedures that it takes to come over here is completely irrational when it comes to time. We have already had an answer for this and how to handle it with farmers. About 25 years ago, we did this fabulous thing in the country where we elected a Republican farmer from Texas. He understood how immigration impacted his community, how illegal immigration impacted his community, and he understood how the lack of legal immigration impacted farmers. President Bush believed in a policy where we would allow immigrants in, document them, and tax them so they could come here and work. Our farmers would be able to have reliable individuals that helped them. And we would also have immigrants here that contributed to our tax system and all the services that was provided to them. So I think when we look at how we're going to change the immigration problem and how we're going to fix it for our farmers, we need to go back to President Bush's plan because the answer is already there.
Thank you for that. I now turn it over back to Pastor Court.
Thank you so much. Then we're going to change lanes again and talk about economic stability and workforce development. And candidate Fuller, this question is coming to you first. Georgia's 14th Congressional District recently lost more than 1,200 jobs in a single week and is seeing growing reliance on food assistance programs. What specific actions will you take to strengthen workforce development, diversify in industries, and support working families in achieving long-term economic stability? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think the first step that you have to take a look at is the Trump economy, which started this time last year, is working. We just have to continue to allow everything that was achieved in the big, beautiful bill. We are seeing record GDP growth, and we have to continue to just buy into everything that President Trump is doing to reorient the global economic order with the tariffs that he put in place. And then the other thing is we just have to get the federal government out of the way. The other thing that I'd say is addressing the larger questions and the larger issues that we're seeing, because I think it dovetails into the previous question too. When I get to Capitol Hill, I'm going to nominate every ICE agent for the Presidential Medal of Freedom because they are incredible heroes. And that is because border security is national security. Once you get the criminal illegals out of this country, the criminal illegal gangs out of this country, we are going to start seeing lives being saved. I see you smiling, but we in my circuit, I saw fentanyl the price starting to increase because of those policies starting in January of 2025. It is so important. It is saving lives. I don't ever want to see another Laken Riley. And there is no greater lie than that there is, once we remove the criminal illegal aliens, that there is some sort of labor shortage. Americans want to do those jobs. They want to work hard. They want to be able to raise a family on one income in the place where their ancestors are buried. And that's what I will do as a candidate on Capitol Hill. I will fight for those families, fight for these communities, and make sure that there is long-term viability for our main streets that has been completely ignored of the economic policies that have been in place over 30 to 40 years, and which has completely ignored Appalachian communities like mine that I'm fighting to represent.
Thank you so much. Candidate Ruskowski, the same question. You're on mute, sir.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Georgia's 14th Congressional District recently lost more than 1,200 jobs in a single week and is seeing a growing reliance on food assistance programs. What specific action will you take to strengthen workforce development, diversify industries, and support working families in achieving long-term economic stability? You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Economic stability is a tough thing a tough term right now, since there's so many things that are going on. My biggest concern that I see moving forward in the district is AI and the advancement of AI and robotics that are going to be coming in just a couple of years. And we're seeing jobs being lost because they're being replaced by robotics. The industries that are the biggest in this district, poultry and farming and manufacturing, carpet, the carpet industry, these are areas that are going to have a lot of replacement with robotics and AI technology coming in. So people are going to be losing their jobs. So we're going to have to look at retraining these people. The other thing about it, with jobs being lost in the area, is that these people that lose their jobs, they're going to have to, we can't have a functioning capitalist society if people don't have income coming in. So we have to look at being able to give these people the income that they need in order to get retrained and find another job, which the jobs that are going to be available are going to be different. I'm looking at changing the 14th district to cutting edge technology, stuff that the current administration has actually shunned, that's really thriving in other parts of the world. And that's electric cars, electric mobility. Now, some people say, well, we had this stuff, we had technology, and then China stole it from us. Well, why in the world can't we reverse engineer the technology that they're producing over in China and have manufacturing here doing the same thing in the 14th district? That's what I want to see. There's also breakthroughs coming with fusion energy. There's absolutely no reason why I can't propose a bill when I'm up in Washington that we could have one of the first fusion reactors put into our district that will provide clean, unlimited energy, and there's no risk.
Thank you so much. Kent Black, the same question.
Well, we definitely, as I mentioned in my opening statement, we need to increase our trade schools. I mean, let's face it, not everybody's going to go to college. And if we strengthen our trade schools, then we do get the entrepreneurs, which actually, and as Rush was mentioning, we do need to build up those folks that are becoming the entrepreneurs. Let's face it, they're probably going to make more money than anybody coming out of college. And they're going to stay in our small towns, and they're going to grow their families there. they will help contribute to the tax base. So therefore, it creates in our rural district that security, that economic security. And so we definitely need to do that. And we need to reduce our federal income tax. That will put more money back into their pockets on a day-to-day basis. So that's what we need to do. And in addition to bringing more industries, not just, yes, we do have that wonderful battery plant in Northwest Georgia Northwest Georgia. So we need to create not only small businesses, but we need to bring those industries that are going to help supply our demand for the workforce.
Okay, thank you so very much. Candidate Harris, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, sir. I got it. Thank you very much. And thank you for the question. You're right. 1,200 plus jobs were lost here in the last week or so. The way I answer the question is this way. The first thing that we need to continue to be working on is bringing in trade school training for all of our citizens across the board. Like my colleague just said, everybody doesn't want to go to college, and that's fine. However, we as leaders need to look at it to say it's no different from going to trade school than going to the University of Georgia. Everybody has a place here in Northwest Georgia and inside of our society. In addition to that, when we send these young people to trade school, we need to make sure, or I need to make sure, that I'm bringing in generational jobs that will not only give them a job today, that would give their kids and their grandkids jobs for many, many years to go. And then lastly, we have to acknowledge that when I talk about everyday people, it's 141,000 people in this district that is relying on SNAP. And those individuals, the last time the government shut down, were left outside. Nobody said one word about that. Sean Harris is going to fight for everybody in this district. And that 141,000 people are dependent on SNAP. Many of those people work two jobs right now trying to make ends meet. So I just say to you, and the way I'm going to end this answer is this way. This is a complex issue. However, it can be addressed if you go to DC and you work across the aisle both ways, and you work with individuals that are also congressmen, also from other small rural communities. We can come up with the right policies and make sure that Northwest Georgia is not left behind.
Okay, thank you so much. Candidate Underwood, the same question.
Thank you very much. As I said in my introduction, economics is one of my absolute passions. I really believe that when it comes to this district in particular, looking at our manufacturing sector, particularly Dalton with carpets. We also have some automotive manufacturing up here in Rock Spring. But we were hit really hard with the tariffs. In particular, when I was working in a brake factory, we used aluminum that we got from overseas. The tariffs on that made it so much more expensive to produce things. They had to lay off a bunch of people. When I look at this, I see that we are creating this capricious trade policy. It's not even consistent. We change the rules on a regular basis. Businesses cannot plan for the future if they don't know what their costs are going to be. And when you have economic uncertainty, you're going to drive up unemployment. So we need to have a consistent policy, both in terms of trade and our internal regulations. This is really important, and it needs to be handled by Congress. The Constitution gives trade policy to Congress, not to the president. We need to do that because Congress is a deliberative body. We don't change the rules at the drop of a hat. It takes time. There is a big
Thank
process
you,
that has to
candidate.
be followed. Sorry, I'm out of time.
Thank you so much for that response. Moderator Randolph, I turn it over to you. Come off mute, sir.
There have been 6 questions that have been answered greatly this afternoon. We're now ready for the final question. This question will be proposed to everyone. The question is, representing a divided district, Georgia's 14th Congressional District is diverse in beliefs, experiences, and needs, yet deeply divided politically. What is your clear, actionable vision for representing all constituents, not just those who voted for you? And how would you move forward beyond rhetoric to deliver measurable results for the entire district? And I will start that off with candidate Turnipseed.
So you are absolutely right. We are a very divided district, and the job of a representative is not just to work for those that voted for them, it is to work for everybody. I have been lucky enough to be raised in a split household with a very, very hard Republican father and a very, very hard Democratic mother. I was taught to undergo conversations and to be able to talk to somebody. The same thing happens in the military, which I have spent the majority of my adult life. You don't get a say in who you serve next to. You don't get a say in their beliefs, but we have to learn to talk to them to be able to work things out. I am very much a Republican and I am a conservative. But if I am speaking to a Democrat who does not believe the same thing I do, does not believe on the same ground, then I think what we have to do is be able to have those conversations. There is the difference between Democrats and Republicans a lot are what it is that we think we should do to get there. It's not necessarily what it is that we think needs to be done. As a representative, my goal is to be able to do that by being available to my district. I hope to hold district offices in both North Georgia and the north side of our district of 14th and one in the southern side. I want to engage in as many town halls as possible when I am home and not in session. At a minimum once a quarter, if possible once a month. I want to hear from my constituents that are both Republican and that are Democrat. I want to not only understand what it is that people believe, but why they believe that, where that root comes from, so that I know how to talk to them, address that, and that we can find a solution together.
Same question, candidate Fuller.
I kind of just disagree with the formulation of the question. I don't think that we're divided. I think when you look across every citizen in Georgia 14, the thing that they care about and want to do is have a career that fulfills them, have a salary where they can raise a family and keep their family safe, and have the federal government off their back just to allow them to live their lives. I think that's the basic consensus for every voter in Georgia 14. And when I go to Washington, D.C. as the representative for every citizen of Georgia 14, I will fight to ensure that, to make sure that our lives are getting better each and every day. The other thing, when you get out there and talk to citizens, when you talk to them about the basic tenets of my campaign, faith, they want to see a Christian conservative, duty, they want to see someone who has raised their hand multiple times, both for their country and their community as their district attorney. And they want to see someone who has an America First background and perspective that's going to put their needs first. So I think we're united on that front, and they're looking for someone who's going to go to Washington, D.C. to fight for them and fight for the life that they want to live here in Georgia 14, and to make sure that they can raise a family here and that the federal government isn't messing with them or impacting their daily lives here. And that's what I would go to D.C. to fight for each and every day.
Candidate Ruskowski.
I happen to agree with Clay. I don't think we're divided nearly as much as the media wants us to think we are. The issues in the 14th district, when I talk to people about the things that really matter, there's a lot of they agree that there's problems in these areas. What's not happening right now with the division is we're not talking enough about them. And that is, I think, my most important job as a representative is be able to talk to everyone in the district openly, honestly, and have empathy for what everyone is going through. I don't look at people and see a Democrat or a Republican. I see a human being. And that's the representative I want to be. I'm just like them. I heard some other candidates say, I haven't had health insurance in decades. I try to take care of myself through what I eat, my exercising, doing personal care, having good relationships with others. That's the way that I get through with that. When you talk about cost of living, that's not a Democrat Republican issue. When you talk about health care, it's not a Democrat or Republican issue. When you talk about getting paid a decent wage, which I don't even believe that a living wage is optimum. My program is I'm going to start off to get the living wage for everyone, which is based on a county by county level. But my goal is to get them to a thriving wage, because a living wage keeps people living paycheck to paycheck. And as soon as something happens that goes wrong, you're underwater again. Nobody should live like that. So I have the living wage proposal. Housing, everybody's got to live somewhere. Same thing. Utilities and energy costs. The biggest picture here that I see as a problem is us people don't have representation in Washington at all. They're in bed with the corporations. And the corporations are making huge profits.
Moderators, please continue.
Thank you. The next candidate will be candidate Black.
Thank you. The clear mission to move forward, I think all of the candidates here are concerned about the constituents. We are, I would be their voice. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we should use it appropriately. And I truly believe in that. One thing that I do bring to the table is, constituent services is a huge thing. When someone calls my office, I'm usually their last resort because they have tried to solve it on their own. And I have worked with so many federal agencies over the 28 years of my federal service. I know how to get those problems solved. So I'm a problem solver. And, it just as Jenna, was in a divided house. I was married to a Democrat. And let me tell you, we had some great conversations. But what I have we all want the same thing. It's how we go about it. And what I have always been taught is you may have your way and I may have my way, but what do we want to achieve? What do we have in common? And what are we, integrity is my compass. No matter what, I will do what is right for the people of the district. So being that listener, using my integrity, and listening to others, because again, we all want everyone to thrive in the 14th district.
Thank you. Candidate Harris, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I would love to say, I was blessed to spend many, many years in the military. And what I usually don't talk about too much is that my career in the military started off as Private Sean Harris in the United States Marine Corps down there in Parris Island, and was blessed to go through all the different commands and end up as Brigadier General Harris in Israel. Why do I bring that up? Is because, like my colleague said, the military is very diverse. We don't all agree on everything, but we know how to work together to make sure that we're taking care of the American people. When I look here at the 14th district, I don't look at the 14th district as being divided. I look at it as we're diverse or we are unique. The 14th runs all the way, basis as you come across the line in Tennessee and go all the way down to West Cobb. That is a lot of diversity between small towns, large towns, and all of those things. One of the things that I've already been doing is town halls throughout the district, making sure not only am I talking to people, but really I'm on a listening tour. That those town halls is that I can actually talk to the people or listen to the people right here in the district. And what I'm hearing from them, from Democrats, independents, and Republicans, they all come to my town hall. They tell me, Sean, we just want somebody to go to DC that's going to focus on us. And that's what I plan to do. And then as I close this out, if I'm blessed to be the congressman, I will open up 3 offices here in the district. One would be there in Dalton, one would be in Rome, Georgia, and one would be down in West Cobb. And inside of those offices for our veterans, it will actually have a small office that's designed to help that veteran and his spouse get the benefits that they actually have been trying to get forever. I run into Vietnam veterans all the time that are still sitting on 10% simply because they don't know how to fill out the paperwork or they don't have a computer. So I will actually have people in that office that will help them to get it done. And then when they want
Thank
to
you,
talk to me,
candidate.
thank
And next, uh, candidate Underwood, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much again for the question. I have to say that I do agree with several of my interlocutors here. We are a diverse and multifaceted district. There are people who believe all kinds of things here, and it is not going to be an easy job to represent them because you need to be able to balance all of those viewpoints. I hate to keep bringing it up, but I am a third-party candidate. That allows me to bridge gaps. Nobody has any assumptions of what I'm going to do. And so I can talk to people and have them tell me what they actually think without the prejudice of thinking that they're talking to someone who's on the other side. Likewise, I don't actually want to be in Washington any more than I absolutely have to. I love this place here. If I have any choice in the matter, I'm going to be here at home among the people of this district. My watchwords are going to be transparency, accountability, and availability. I want everyone to be able to talk to me whenever they need to. Every time a bill crosses my desk, I am going to make clear on social media or any other platforms I need to exactly what my understanding of what's in it is, what I'm voting on it, and why. And if anyone has a problem with it, I want to hear it. I want to hear how I can better represent them.
Thank you, candidate.
Pastor Cord, it appears that we're doing a fairly decent time on time. I'm going to turn the floor back over to you, Pastor Cord.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to kind of shift gears one more time to infrastructure and environment. Infrastructure and environment. And candidate Turnipseed, this question come to you first. It says, Georgia's 14th Congressional District faces major infrastructure challenges, including aging roads and bridges, limited broadband access, widespread PFAS, those forever chemicals in the water supplies. What specific federal actions would you take to modernize infrastructure, expand broadband, and protect communities from toxic water pollution? You have 2 minutes, and this is for everybody.
So I'll focus on broadband specifically first. Broadband is not an action that I would take specifically within Congress because I believe just like cable and the internet, if we allow innovation to take place, it's going to expand on its own, and those actions are going to be able to compete for themselves and compete for the districts. I do believe we have a position looking at roads. I do believe we have a direct position addressing PFAS chemicals. Now, there's already some Georgia state legislation that is directly looking at prohibiting citizens' ability to hold companies accountable for their use of PFAS chemicals as long as they're labeled within the EPA, regardless of their knowingness or not of how much harm that occurs. As a congressional legislation, we don't directly affect stuff on the states, but what I would like to do is look at a way to affect this directly in US Congress. So we have a higher overreaching law that prohibits states' ability to enact these laws that shield these companies from being able to lose their liability for the use of PFAS chemicals. I think on a federal level, that is somewhere we can not only help Northwest Georgia, but all of our citizens across the board.
Thank you very much. Candidate Oskowski, we're going to come to you with the same question. You're on
Can
mute,
you repeat
sir.
it again? Can you repeat it again?
Sure. Okay, the Georgia 14th Congressional District faces major infrastructure challenges, including aging roads and bridges, limited broadband access, and widespread PFAS contamination in our water supplies. What specific federal action will you take to modernize infrastructure, expand broadband, and protect communities from water pollution? You have 2 minutes.
Okay. In regards to doing federal laws, the first one I mentioned was with looking towards the future for fusion reactors. We have to be cutting edge. We have problems with our infrastructure here, like you mentioned about the roads. One of the things I was also looking at doing in regards to utilizing underused rural roads, there's a lot of people in this district that can't afford cars. They can't afford insurance. It's going up through the roof. So I've proposed, and I've actually spoken with someone at the Georgia Department of Transportation about this, and I would like to also probably have to do it on the federal level to get grant money for it, but to build what I call a greenway system that goes through the 14th district. This system would use underutilized rural roads to open them up to alternate means of transportation, micro mobility. Most people aren't familiar with this type of stuff, but electric bikes, scooters, transportation that moves a little bit slower pace, maybe at 20, 25 miles an hour. These roads could be converted so that people could use these devices to commute between the cities in the 14th district. It wouldn't cost very much money. You're just talking about really signage and repainting the roads. And it wouldn't put a lot of wear and tear on these roads either, because we're talking about ultralight vehicles as well. And then you'd have an electric system where they can charge these vehicles throughout that greenway network. And I'm going to be really working on that in particular, because I think transportation and connecting communities is a real problem in the 14th district. Going back to the PFAS, I don't know about what can go on the federal level other than just being aware that we have to do something with holding the polluters that are responsible for this accountable. But it's going to probably be even a bigger situation if they are held accountable, that the federal government's going to have to step in with the cleanup, because they're not going to be able to.
Thank you, candidate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Candidate Fuller, the same question to you.
No, thank you so much. I want everyone to imagine the Heisman Trophy that was recently just given out, so everybody knows that image. That will be me in the pose I will be striking to stiff arm the federal government in the face to make sure it's not getting in the way of the private sector to solve all these problems. Because once the federal government gets involved in all those problems, that's when it's going to go awry. So whether it's broadband, whether it's those types of infrastructure needs that a community has, we got to get the federal government out of the way and let the local and private sector solve that problem. If it's directly related to infrastructure that the federal government controls, that's when I talk about I'll be a warrior for Northwest Georgia, getting those funds to make sure that we have those infrastructure projects that we need. Nothing frustrates me more than seeing $8 billion worth of taxpayer waste in Minnesota. So I want to get those funds coming back to Northwest Georgia and be a warrior for Northwest Georgia for those federal projects. Lastly, sorry, I'm getting some feedback there. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Google thyroid cancer rates in Northeast Georgia, where I grew up. I think one of the important things that a congressman can have on Capitol Hill is provide oversight. I would like to be part of the oversight committee. It's part of my prosecutorial skill set, and I will always be fighting for the truth to get to the people of North Georgia, specifically related to their health. It's a personal fight for me as a survivor of cancer, and I'll always fight for the truth on Capitol Hill, but strike that Heisman Trophy pose too.
All right, thank you so much, Candidate Fuller. Candidate Black, same question. Do I need to repeat it for you?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I actually worked in infrastructure with FEMA, so thank you for putting something in my wheelhouse. I would work specifically with the Department of Transportation to make sure that funding for our roads and bridges, yes, they are out of date. And, we need to make sure that those maintenance reports from those bridges are monitored and audited. The other thing that I would look to do is to get funding for an additional inlet port. We have an inlet port in the district, and that has taken over 600,000 trucks off of our roads. It's a rail system that all those rail cars come in from Savannah. We truck them up and we use the rails to get them into our district, and then the trucks pick them up at that inlet port. We need an additional inlet port so that we can build up the port in Savannah and that we can get all that payload out to the United States. So we need to make sure that Georgia is the one that has those and I think that's a great way of getting all those trucks off the road. It saves our air, it saves our roads, and it makes our trucking industry a heck of a lot more efficient.
Okay. Thank you so very much. And Candidate Harris, the same question.
Yes,
You have 2
thank you
minutes.
very much. I would work a partnership between federal and private on each one of these particular issues because they all very unique. One, I would make sure that there's funding coming down from DC to address all our roads and bridges. And not only the main roads, I'm also talking about secondary roads because with all the farmers and everything that's moving around, many of the times it's the secondary roads. The bridge has been here since 1930, and that's where people are getting injured, especially on a day like we're having today with these ice storms. In addition to that, broadband is already here. However, I would provide oversight because right now I don't believe anybody's tracking where we at on the progress of broadband. It is still too many people going up to McDonald's to sit out in the parking lot so that they can actually do their classes online. That doesn't make any sense for me here in Northwest Georgia. So if we got broadband coming, let's make sure it's actually there, and I will hold those people accountable. And then when it comes to PFAS is a big problem here in our district, all the way from Dalton back down to Rome. When you look at Rome has some of the highest cancer rates than anywhere in the entire state or the country, simply because of the forever drugs that's been in, my mistake getting fumbled here, but the forever chemicals that have been in the water. I want to make sure that I'm holding those companies accountable and making sure that we put in research into cancer research to help the people, just like my colleagues talked about being a cancer survivor. So I want to fight for them across the board.
Okay, thank you so very much. Candidate Underwood, same question to you.
Yes, thank you very much. It is true, we have absolutely massive problems with infrastructure here. The quality of our roads has absolutely gone, trying not to use an expletive, sorry, but we are having some absolutely horrid roads. We have, again, issues with our water supply and the chemicals in it. There are so many things that need to be done here. The problem is that I do not believe that the federal government is the vehicle by which we need to get these fixed. These are the sorts of things that can be better solved closer to local level, be it the state government, county, local governments, or even some of these we can even have private industry help with. But now, yes, the federal government can provide funding, but the federal government is one of the most notoriously inefficient systems out there. And while I would love to try and get some funding for this, I do not believe that we should have too many strings attached to it, lest we tie the hands of our state and local governments in order to solve these problems more efficiently. So,
Okay. Thank you so very much. This is going to conclude our answering session from the moderators. We're going to turn it back over now into the hands of Monica Grayson.
Thank you. Go ahead. We'll be changing that over to Dr. Crump, who will be reading the questions from the Q&A from the attendees.
Thank you, President. I'm sorry I came in. I got bumped off for a bit, but I am the president of the League of Women Voters for Paulding, Douglas, Harrison, and Polk County. So you can see we have a large stake in this election. There are quite a few interesting questions. Some have been answered already. So I'm going to start with this one. With the events of today in Minneapolis, what can we expect from you to prevent this kind of violence in the 14th district? For example, immigration reform, cut funding to ICE, and etc. And whoever wants to take that question.
This is Clay Fuller. I'm happy to take that question. I disagree with the question. Again, I'll reiterate, when I get to Capitol Hill, I'm going to nominate ICE and every ICE agent for the Presidential Medal of Freedom, because border security is national security. This debate on federal law was settled 150 years ago with the Civil War. Federal law is supreme, and all ICE agents are doing are enforcing federal law. And Governor Walz and the mayor of Minneapolis are creating a situation where they are going to get ICE agents killed. The individual who was killed in Minneapolis was armed. I've spent my entire career looking at use of force with law enforcement. I've always had the back of law enforcement. If someone is going to use a hostile act or a hostile intent toward law enforcement while armed, this is self-defense for those law enforcement officers. ICE agents are trying to remove criminal illegal aliens who have sex offenses sometimes, and these protesters are trying to stop them from doing their job. The governor of Minnesota, the mayor of Minneapolis need to get out of the way, create a safe situation for these ICE agents. I have 1 minute.
No, your 1 minute is up. In answering these questions, please limit your answers to 1 minute. I'm going to ask that 2 more people answer that question. We'll go with Colonel first. Can't hear you.
Are you talking to me, ma'am? I'm General Harris, but is it another colonel on there?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem. I know we got some soldiers on here, and I don't know everybody's rank.
I'm the colonel.
I'll come back.
So
I'll come back to you,
me.
sir. Mr. Rob, I'll come back to you.
So is it me, ma'am?
Yes, it is you.
You know what's actually occurring on the ground in Minnesota right now, today, and then all this last couple of weeks. At the end of the day, the Trump administration has put the country in a bad position. One, immigration, he did a good job of shutting down the border. I'll give him credit on that. But President Trump said that he was going to actually get all the illegal immigrants out of the United States, the rapists and the murderers. Right now, what is currently happening is innocent American citizens are actually being killed. We need to make sure that we calm everything down. And in addition to that, I'm not just saying this as Sean sitting here in my own house. I used to train police officers overseas. And in addition to that, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I used to advise the police during some times when we had riots. Right now, what needs to happen, we need to calm everything down. At the end of the day, the Trump administration needs to pull people back, and please do not send soldiers in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are the, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to allow Rob. I said I would allow him to speak on this one.
Thank you. In regards to what's going on up in Minnesota, we need a lawful, humane system that works for immigration. That means we need to fix the broken immigration courts. We need to protect due process, which seems to be a huge concern that's going on right now. And we need securing borders without cruelty or political theater. And this chaos benefits no one, especially working families. And I don't want to see this occur in the 14th district. We have good people here that have been in these communities for long periods of time. They contribute to the communities. They're working. They're following the rules. And I don't want to see what's happening elsewhere in the country happen here, because it's going to be devastating to the entire 14th district. If the people of this district think that just picking up somebody that just doesn't look like they belong.
Remedy comes quickly. We have a question. What are the 3 top issues you would be focused on day 1 if elected? We'll go with candidate Turnipseed. And then I'll come back to Star Black.
So some of the very first top issues that I want to get at are some of the things that we're already doing. I want to focus directly looking at, I'm hoping, I really want a position on the Government Oversight and Reform Committee, and I want to look at the ways that we cost waste and our policies. Immediately and directly, I want to support what's called the Major Richard Starr Act, which is currently undergoing, and it's something we do not have a congressman to be able to vote on and push right now. And this is specifically for our veterans. What it does is it gets rid of the policy where we're currently taking disability pay away from military retirement pay. And that is legislation that is already going through right now, and I want to support that. The last thing that I want to do is start looking at deregulation. Earlier in the year, Trump set what was called the 10 for 1 policy, where we have to remove 10 regulations for every one that we implement. And I want to start seeing where I can address and work with that.
Thank you. Next.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. You're up.
Okay. One of the first things that I'm going to, when I am elected, is to jump on being a co-sponsor for getting term limits approved. We need to get that passed so that our elected officials are not there for a lifetime. That is not something our founding fathers ever wanted. Second, I would also jump on and be an additional co-sponsor of making sure that any of our elected officials are not able to buy and sell stock while they are in office, and including their families too. So those are critical things, and then look at the funding that we can get from our transportation to get that inlet port created.
Thank you for that answer. That actually answered a question in the chat about the stock. So you answered 2 questions. Here's one for you. Yes, sir.
I was hoping if I could also answer that question.
Me too.
Yes, come on.
My 3 biggest priorities. Our budget is out of control. I would love to see us whittle it down to a properly balanced budget where we're not spending more money than we're taking in. Our national debt is completely unsustainable, and we do not need to be adding to it. Just the interest on that is exceeding how much we spend on defense. On top of that, we have these massive bills that nobody can possibly have read in the amount of time that they're given. And I do not think any legislator should ever vote in the affirmative on a bill without having read it. We don't sign a contract on behalf of our constituents without reading it. And last is term limits, like Congressman Star Black said. I've already signed a pledge to go along with that, and I definitely want to see it happen.
Next candidate.
All right. My top three things are: one, lower the cost of living; number two, lower the cost of living; and number three, lower the cost of living. Lowering the cost of living is my top priority. Families are getting crushed by groceries, rent, utilities, healthcare, and fuel, while wages lag behind and profits soar. I'll fight to raise wages towards a thriving wage, stop price gouging and market rigging by corporate oligarchies, hold utilities accountable so families aren't subsidizing corporate deals, lower healthcare costs so medical bills don't drain household budgets. Raising pay and lowering cost has to happen together, or families never get ahead.
Next. Yes, sir.
Okay. My top three is getting our hands around healthcare costs, and at the same time making sure that we have access to good quality healthcare here in the 14th district. And the other piece of that is making sure that address the ACA problem right now because it's out of the roof. And then in addition to that, but it fits also in the healthcare, is making sure that we take care of all our veterans here in the district. 41,000 of them here in the district. And we have a mental health deficiency. We don't actually have any services, wraparound services here. And right now, our veterans, if they having a struggle, they end up going to the sheriff's jail and spend the weekend in there until they can actually get some additional help. And then, like my colleague just said, the number one thing is affordability, bringing down the cost, because right now, the 14th cannot afford to live here. And those are the three things I'll be working for off the top. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, would you support a
Do
referendum
you
to
mind?
call?
I didn't get to address that question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. So my three top priorities as a prosecutor, I'd be focused on ending the drug devastation that's been happening. Remember, that's the number one killer for people 18 to 40 with fentanyl. So securing that border, making sure fentanyl is not getting across, supporting President Trump's patriotic economic agenda. So making sure that we're getting manufacturing back to every community in Georgia 14. Part of that is never forgetting that the affordability crisis with healthcare was created by President Obama and the Affordable Care Act that they put in place. So fighting for an economic agenda that helps all families and gets jobs back here. The last one, making sure that from a national security standpoint, we don't end up in a war in the Pacific against the Communist Party of China. We need to counter the Communist Party of China in every way that we can, but I don't want to see another generation of North Georgians go off and fight in the Pacific. Those are the three things that I'd be focused on.
Thank you. Would you support a referendum to all GA citizens to decide if they want Georgia's abortion laws to stand or not? Who wants to take that first? Don't everybody speak at one time now.
Well, I didn't want to go back to back. I would just say I'm 100% pro-life. I don't want to see abortions happen. So I support the change, and I think Roe v. Wade was a travesty. And I support what the Supreme Court has done with the litigation to overturn Roe v. Wade. So I'm 100% pro-life, and I would support any sort of pro-life legislation that would be put in place. Obviously, that would be a state issue that they would be focused on. I wouldn't be a part of that as the congressional representative at the federal level, but I would certainly support pro-life legislation that the state would put in place.
Candidate Black?
I do support, as Clay said, it is a state issue, and that, I am so thankful that the state of Georgia has the heartbeat bill. I truly support that. It is, conception is the beginning of life, and I support all pro-life legislation that the state wants to enforce.
Thank you. Rob?
Oh.
You turned your mic off. You turned it off. I'll go to the next. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I'm back on.
Okay. Can you?
I believe that the most important thing is that women with their reproductive rights, the decisions shouldn't be made by the government, that it should be these decisions should be between the woman and her doctor. That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you. Candidate Harris?
Yes, I believe in pro-choice, and this is a state issue, but I believe in pro-choice, and the decision, just like my colleague just said, is between the lady or the wife, their family, and the doctor. Thank you.
Candidate Turnipseed?
So the way that I got that question posed, if I heard it right, was would I support a referendum that allowed Georgia's citizens to vote on whether they thought that Georgia's law should continue with where we are on abortion? As multiple candidates mentioned, this is a state issue, not a federal issue, but at no point would I not want to hear what it is that Georgia state citizens want. I think as a citizen, you have a right to voice that. I do not think that the referendum, if we listen to state citizens, is going to change where we stand. I think that Georgia law is the way it is because that is what we believe. But I never disagree with hearing from Georgia voters.
Thank you. What would you do to get the DOJ to follow the law and release the Epstein files? I'll start with Candidate Fuller.
First, I would just say I don't think the Epstein case is anything that someone with a prosecutorial background like mine has really been given the opportunity to talk about. I think this is largely a media narrative that's been driven over the last year or so to divide us and to undermine the Trump administration. It's something that was not discussed at all during the 4 years of the Biden administration. So I think it's just simply a media narrative that has been manufactured to slow down the Trump administration. I think for anything, if there is a victim, and this is what I did my entire career, you go through the criminal justice process, and if there's a victim who does not want to have their information released, I think that is something that's specifically related to a fundamental right that victim has, and they shouldn't release that information, and they should follow the law, and I believe that the DOJ is following the law.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Mr. Underwood. Got it.
I'm going to have to disagree on that point, particularly with the issue of no one having talked about it during the Biden administration. I personally have seen a great deal of that spoken about over the last several years, but that's not the point here. The point is we have documents that the government is refusing to release, even though there have been proper Freedom of Information Act requests made. The Marjorie Taylor Greene, while I do not agree with her on everything, I believe she had this right. We need to have complete, unredacted release of these files, and we need to continue pushing the administration until we get that.
Yes, Candidate Harris.
Yes, I'm the only candidate that ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene last time for Congress. And I say this because Marjorie Taylor Greene and I don't agree on really much or nothing. But the reality of it is when it came to the Epstein files, we both agreed that the files needed to be released. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is still on the side with me today because the federal government is not releasing the files in a timely manner. We need to make sure that those files were released, and we need to make sure that people that actually did the wrong things are held accountable, regardless of who they are. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Black.
I think this actually, I think we need to take a step back and look at, I think this is a very slippery slope, to be honest. Because my question is, are we going to start releasing all the files of convicted sex offenders or sex traffickers? And I agree with Mr. Fuller that, it is up to the victims to decide whether that information is released or not. So just because it's trying to divide us politically, I think the law is the law. And, are we going to start releasing every single convicted sex traffickers information or their case information? So I think it lends a bigger question.
Ms. Turnipseed?
So I'd like to first start by, because I don't know what's exactly in those files and I was not in those rooms when it was briefed, that I can't give a 100% answer. And I will say as information comes out, my answer may change. But as it stands now, there's a good chance that I would have probably been the second Republican no vote when it came to releasing those files. And my concern is the same as what Clay mentioned. It's because of the victims. Until we're at a position to where we know who the victims are and we know that we have the consent to release that information, or we understand that we have properly redacted all of the information so that it will not negatively impact a victim who has already been subject to abuse, I would not push for a faster release of the documents.
Did everyone get a chance to answer the question?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you just repeat the question, because I want to clarify on it?
Let me go back to it. Just a minute. I may have to come back to that because I moved on to another
Okay.
one.
Well, I think I remember it, so I'll answer it. I believe your question was, what would I do in order to get the Epstein files released? Well, if this applies to pretty much any department or anybody up in the federal government, if the Department of Justice is breaking the law by not releasing these files, then the course of action that I would take I would impeach the head of the department, who is Pam Bondi, and have her replaced with someone else who's going to abide by the law. And this can be applied to pretty much any department. It's regardless of Democrat or Republican. If somebody is not following the law, not following their oath, they need to be removed by the means that are necessary. If it's Supreme Court justices or judges at lower offices, they could be impeached. If it's people in the administration,
Thank you,
they can be
candidate.
impeached. Was that the end?
Yes, that's your 30.
No problem.
1 minute. If federal oversight is reduced in farming, what legal mechanisms should exist to hold producers accountable when food containers cause illness or death?
Could you repeat that?
Yes. If federal oversight is reduced in farming, what legal mechanisms should exist to hold producers accountable when food containers cause illness or death? Yes, Ms. Turnipseed.
So I think the laws already exist to be able to hold anybody accountable if they serve you a food that causes severe illness and death, the same way that you can hold somebody accountable if they hit you with a car. I think if it's necessary to remove the regulations because they're so burdensome that nobody can use it. But everybody is responsible for their own individual actions, and the law is able to hold them accountable. So I think the measures already exist.
Next person.
This is Clay Fuller. I'll just say quickly, I agree. Any sort of deregulation movement, which would be a good thing for agriculture, getting the federal government out of the way, would not impact someone's ability to have some sort of negligent cause of action in a local court. So I don't I don't think it's relevant to the issue of federal oversight.
Candidate Harris?
I thought you were going in a different direction. Yes, I believe that we should be looking at oversight of all the regulations that we have, review them, make sure that we actually keep the ones that are actually working, but things that are causing problems for the farmers at the lower level to be able to sell their products, we need to get rid of those. At the same time, keeping our food and everything safe. So I think we need to put in more oversight, but review every regulation that we have out there, because right now is way too many regulations when it comes to trying to get the farmer back on their feet.
Next candidate?
Can I go?
Yes, sir.
I agree with Sean. We have to review all these regulations, but I don't agree with other views where we have no regulations and that we can just sue people for harming us. We've seen large outbreaks of food poisonings and viruses, and it would be anarchy if we don't have any regulations at all in regards to protecting our food sources. That's just the way I feel.
I guess. Is it my turn? Okay. I am standing with the other candidates that yes, we need to get the regulations out of the way, and the state can hold those manufacturers within their state responsible. We've got the USDA that oversees those things, and we need to make sure that the regulations are out of the way so that farmers and companies can do. And as Jenna mentioned, everyone has the right to go after the company that causes them harm.
The last person?
Yes, as Ms. Turnipseed and Mr. Fuller both pointed out, yes, we do have methods to punish for negligence. But I also would like to point out that there is no incentive to cause harm to your customers. If your customers are harmed by your product, they are not going to continue buying your product. Now, the fact of the matter is, yes, sometimes things do get contaminated, even with the amount of regulation and oversight that we currently have. I do not think that that's going to increase just because we don't have federal officials looking over people's shoulders.
I have one last question, and that would be, what will you do to bring jobs back to this district? And the caveat to that question was, many of you spoke about the rural areas. How will you address the urban issues? Who wants to go first? Ms. Turnipseed.
So one of our biggest college and career systems here is obviously Northwest Georgia Tech. So they hold technical schools and programs within, I believe it's 8 of our 10 counties. They have programs where they work directly with industries to help bring industries in, and they help provide job training so that the industries can get the specific training that they need. And we now have individuals that have jobs that they can go directly to after the training. I want to see that expanded. I think rather than just working on where we're providing research grants and things like that to larger universities, we need to start looking at a federal level how we can strengthen programs like that, where we specifically look at our students or other underserved population, where we help connect them with on-the-job training, and we use those college and career programs that exist in Northwest Georgia already to bring in more industry training.
Okay, Ms. Black.
Okay, Jenna, you got my trade schools. Yes, that is one of my big things to get the trade schools. Also, we need to look at putting a lot of those skill sets back into our high schools. We got rid of home ec. We got rid
Mm.
of wood shop. We got rid of auto mechanics in the high schools. That starts to build that. So it even starts younger than even when they graduate. So we need to build up, and we can do that in those urban areas without even having to build an extra trade school. But those urban areas, which I currently live in Kennesaw, uh, we have that opportunity to bring them in and make them even stronger in entrepreneurship to be generated.
Yes, candidate Harris.
Great question. One of the things that I want to do, if I'm blessed to get to Congress, I want to bring in generational jobs. And when I talk about generational jobs, it will make no difference if you got a PhD or a GED. It makes no difference if you went to college or you actually went to a trade school, and even a step further, if you're actually just coming directly out of high school, but actually went through a trade school program, that you'll be able to get a very good, high paying job here inside the district. So that's what I'll be doing at the federal level, is to ensure that I work across the board to bring those type jobs here. It makes no difference if you live in the rural community or if you live in West Cobb. Your child or you as the individual should be able to get a very good job that you can feed your family. Thank you.
Mr. Fuller.
Yes, ma'am. I'd say let's just double down on the American dream, who we've always meant to be, and double down on the Trump patriotic agenda. You're seeing record GDP growth. You're seeing the end where you're winning the war against the inflation that the Biden administration created. All we have to do is double down on what President Trump is doing, and that's going to trickle down to every family across Georgia 14 and across the state of Georgia. With the tariffs that President Trump has put in place with Independence Day, that's going to reshore manufacturing. I'm going to fight to bring back manufacturing jobs to each and every community. And then the last thing, I don't think there's a difference between rural and urban issues, although some of the leadership in our cities is insane. I would just say the image of me as a Heisman Trophy, just putting a stiff arm to federal regulation, is going to solve problems both for cities and for the rural areas. So we need to double down on who we are as Americans, and we need to double down on the Trump economic agenda, which is working for every family and creating record GDP growth in just a year.
Mr. Rob.
Sure. Well, I agree that the trade schools are very, very important. Those are going to be probably one of the last jobs that will probably be replaced if things happen with AI and robotics. So we have a good system for trade schools. They should definitely be emphasized for the youth coming up to learn those skills. The other thing that we talked about is infrastructure. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be done in this district. So infrastructure investment should strengthen communities, not bypass them. And I support local hiring and workforce development tied to infrastructure projects. These prioritize projects that improve quality of life and economic resilience. They ensure long-term maintenance and sustainability, not short-term fixes. And infrastructure should leave communities stronger. And what I believe that's going to do, it's going to lower transportation costs. You're going to have better access to jobs and services. We're going to have it's going to be cleaner, more affordable mobility options if we have a better infrastructure. Energy investments.
Mr. Underwood.
Yes. I'm going to have to say that most of what we need to have new, better jobs here is already here. We have a lot of what we need already. The problem is that we have so many regulations that get in the way. Now, I understand that some of these are not federal, but we have a bunch of problems with occupational licensing. I've had friends who have had to go through multi-year courses, having to pay thousands of dollars in order to get a license to become a hairdresser. These are not things we need. Now, granted, I know I can't fix that on a federal level because that's a state law, but we have plenty of federal regulations that are getting in the way. And if we can fix affordability such that people have more disposable income to spend, that means that local businesses can sell more of their goods, which means that they can afford to hire more workers. It goes in a big circle. If we get some of the points where we take money out of the system and get rid of those, we could get the ball rolling and have prosperity for everyone. And I think the first step is taking away some of these regulations, and also
Well, that is our last question. And I want to thank everybody for attending and participating. You get 1 minute as a candidate to tell us why your constituents should vote for you. And I'm just going to go in the manner in which you are on my screen. So it starts with Mr. Underwood, candidate Fuller, then it goes to Turnip Seed, Bob, candidate Harris, and Miss Black, in that order.
Thank you again, and I really appreciate the time you're giving me. I believe my constituents should vote for me because I plan on going to Congress with the intent of making sure that everything I do is transparent, visible to them, and that I am available at all times. Because I'm not a member of either of the major parties, I can be a swing vote on really important issues, which means the people of this district have a disproportionately large amount of say in what ends up happening.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to represent the people of this district because they have been so good to me. I want to pay them back.
Next. Mr. Fuller.
Thank you. Georgia 14 needs a warrior on Capitol Hill for Northwest Georgia and to have President Trump's back. I'm going to be that person, that representative, to be on Capitol Hill to do just that. As you've heard during my discussion here, there are three things that are associated with my campaign: faith, duty, and America first. Faith, if you want a Christian conservative, then I'm the person you should vote for. Duty, if you're looking for a military veteran, a lieutenant colonel, and someone who has raised their hand multiple times, not only to fight for the safety of our national security and our local community as an elected district attorney, I'm asking you for your vote. And lastly, for the America First policies that are making a difference for our country, I'll go up there to Washington, D.C. to be a warrior for Northwest Georgia each and every day. So all of you, I'm asking for your vote to be a warrior for Northwest Georgia. Y'all stay safe in this cold weather, and let's all pray for our first responders and linemen who may have to respond tonight. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
The reason that I think that I would be a good candidate and that I'm asking you guys to send me to Washington is because I have been in so many different arenas that I understand the problems that we have, and not just the problems that we have, but what causes it. I have a huge passion for the budget and the ability to change regulations. I can tell you that if we would change the way our fiscal year spending ends, that we could reduce 23% of excess spending at the end of the year. I could tell you that if we didn't spend $890 billion in interest payments, that money could be used to reduce seniors' Medicare expenses significantly. I also think that I'm a good candidate because I am directly driven to go to Washington to fix specific issues, to represent my community, and then I want to come back home. I am not seeking to be a career politician. I'm seeking to get a few more years to serve.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Okay. Right now, too many people are working harder. They're not getting paid as much, and they're falling behind. Not because they failed, but because the system's rigged. I'm running to lower costs for living, raise wages, protect health care as a human right, and restore accountability to a government that's lost its public's trust. I don't take corporate money. I don't answer to party bosses. I answer to the people. If you're tired of politics that divides us instead of delivering results, this campaign is for you. My name's Rob Rush. I will restore your voice in Washington. Please visit my website at rushcongress.com to learn more and to get involved and to help out. I'm the only independent here. I'm only representing the people. I also signed, as some people mentioned, I don't know how many other people on the call signed. I have signed a term limit certificate so that I'm restricting the amount of time that I'll stay in Washington.
Am I next or Mrs. Black? I don't remember. Is it me? Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you for putting on this forum. You know, tonight I've said many, many times that I'm going to focus on kitchen table issues that affect you and your family. I want to earn your vote, regardless if you're a Democrat, Independent, or Republican. In the next few days, I'll be crisscrossing the district doing town halls. I want you to come. I personally want to invite you to come to any one of my town halls because I want you to get to know me and I want to build a trusted relationship with you. I want you also to understand what does leadership matters mean. My name is Sean Harris. I'm focused on you and your families and how can I help make your lives better. I'm looking forward to seeing you and earning your vote. May God bless you, may God bless America, and may God continue to bless our troops throughout the world.
Right. I'm Star Black, and the reason why I should be your next Congresswoman is because I truly am the only one that has worked with all the federal agencies to get because I'm a problem solver. When I find that you've got an issue, I'm used to working with the other agencies to get that taken care of. I've worked over 250 disasters, so I show up and it's usually folks' worst day. So I'm used to making logic out of chaos. And I believe in dealing with integrity as being my compass. I will listen to you and I will be your voice. Thank you.
How about that? Sorry about that. Thank you so much to everyone who came. You have given some great answers. You have given the entire 139 participants some food for thought, and we appreciate that. We also would like to have you to join us for our in-person candidate meet and greet on February the 24th. It is a Saturday at the same facilities we were going to have the first one at, which is Sweet Home Church. It is in Hiram. I believe the address is, Monica, help me out. Is it 202?
Yes, actually, the meet and greet will be held on Saturday, February 21st from 1 to 3. We have put into the chat the information to sign up. It will be at the Sweet Home Baptist Church, 280 Oak Street, Hiram, Georgia, 30141. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have beforehand. But this meet and greet will allow everyone to introduce themselves for any of the candidates that chooses to participate and to be on site that day. And you will have the opportunity as a community to go to each and everyone's table to speak with the candidates directly.
It will not be a forum. It is a meet and greet, just to be clear. We would also like to invite you to go to our sister organization chapter in Dalton. Theirs is February the 14th at the VFW Hall there in Dalton. You can go online and get that information.
We'll also
So,
share it on our social media pages. Once
yes,
again, that was be by the League of Women Voters in
of
Dalton. It will be
Dalton.
starting at 4 o'clock, and we'll share that information as well.
Please follow us both, myself, our West Piedmont and the Marietta-Cobb chapters. Please follow us on all of our social medias outlets, and we will continue to keep you updated with any information. And please note that in March, the West Piedmont chapter will begin Democracy in Motion. And that means that we're going to have a couple of workshops for the citizens to come and meet the local council people and to ask questions. And we're going to invite some of our state legislators there so that they can tell you how a bill is made, the process it goes through, how you can get things done at your local city halls, and any other things that you need to know. And please find that on our websites where that information will be made available to you. And President Monica, you also have some things coming up you'd like to announce.
Yes, on Monday we do have our meeting on gerrymandering and redistricting on Monday, January 26th. That will be happening at 6:30 with SPLC. We invite you to go and attend that with us as well. So thank you so much to President Crump, our moderators, our assistants on IT. Please note, candidates, if there is a runoff, we will be contacting you ahead of time, as we will be putting on another either forum in person or virtual.
And last but not least, I would like to thank our co-sponsors, the West Metro NAACP, who came with us. And we'd like to thank all of the candidates who agreed and came on, and we appreciate you. Any last comments, Monica?
Have any last comments, but I also like to thank President Nicola Hines as well as Director Kim Scott, who has been working with us from the League of Women Voters for Georgia. Thank you so much for all your help for this, and this concludes our forum.
It does. Thank you so much. And the
Thank you.
recording will be available
Thank you.
on
Have a
the,
good evening.
I think you can look in the webinar chat and get the information where the recording will be located.
Thank
With
you.
that,